All right, we are back with another Ask Tim. You guys getting tired of these yet? I don't think so, because we do actually get quite a bit of viewers. I got to rep my TH Shrita gear here. I got my Afraid of Wet shirt on. These caps are no longer made, sadly. We switched vendors, and Teespring doesn't make hats. I thought about getting hats in, because the problem we were having with this vendor that made these hats was their long lead time on stuff. But I was thinking about getting them in. Like, would anybody be interested in a round of hats? Oh, I forgot something though. Hey Google, turn on LED Cube. There it goes. Um, so yeah, I do want to give a shout out to Clara because today she turned. Look at her head. Whoop! You said my name. Um, it is her birthday today. She's officially a dog. She's no longer a puppy. She turned 2 today. Come here, Clara. Come. Come here. It's your birthday. We're going to be taking her to Petco later today. Yeah, you're going to get to pick out a birthday present. Yes, you are. Maybe some treats. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? That's hilarious. YouTube just flagged JDCamC. Sup, boys and girls. Really? Do you want a dingo stick? Should we start it off? It's your birthday. We shouldn't make you wait till the end. You want a dingo stick? Yeah, I gotta get them. Oh, yeah. All right. Let's give her dingo stick. Can we sit? We're gonna just make you do one thing. Yeah, because it's your birthday. There you go. Good girl. I would love to know how to integrate, basically, since Home Assistant supports like API calls, what if there's a way to integrate, basically have it make an API call when somebody donates to turn the cube on or something. I also was thinking about having a, like a servo controlled treat dispenser for Clara. So if somebody like tips $1 or something, it dispenses a treat for Clara. I feel like that'd be funny. Oh yeah. These are our Ask Tims. You guys can ask me questions about 3D printers, and because we are venturing more into home automation stuff, I will go ahead. If you guys got questions about home automation stuff, let me know. I do have some home automation like development boards like ESP32 and 8266 boards that I got from one of our suppliers. So I am going to be testing those just to make sure they're up to my standards, that their parts are good and that they're reliable. So there will be more stuff for DIY type projects that will also be able to be used for home automation type stuff coming to our shop in the next couple of months here. But as with everything, I like to test it to make sure that what we're selling is good quality, because there are a million different variants of like the ESP32 boards and 8266s, and they all look the same. The difference is the quality of the parts that are going onto those boards. So I want to try to find some good quality ones so you guys can get pretty much have this be your one-stop shop. So if you guys are into projects and home automation, if there's other modules and add-on boards, that kind of stuff, like relays or sensors, that kind of thing, let me know what kind of stuff you guys would like to see in the shop. Because I can get all those type of things, and I will put them through the same level of testing and quality checking that we do all of our other products. Because I do want to venture off into that, because there is a lot of overlap between 3D printing and automation and electronics projects. So I'd like us to start getting into that field and be able to provide that to everybody. So if you guys think of something, let me know. But yeah, so yeah, today's Clara's birthday. She's 2. I do have, I will share one other thing with you guys, because I'm pretty sure people will appreciate this, because you'll be seeing him on stream in less than a week. I'll have the new guy on stream on the 23rd, so less than 2 weeks, and we will have little Remo is what we're gonna call him. It's named after my grandpa Remo, who loved dogs, and he was a great guy. And Claire, could you not chew that bone right over my USB extension cable? I'd appreciate it. So we're gonna be having him. He'll be behind me. But I do have a picture from our, an updated picture from our breeder that I will share with you guys. My buddy Cody and his wife, they breed shepherds, and that's where I got Clara. So she's very well bred. She's very healthy, and they do things right. So we're getting Clara a friend, and this is going to be Clara's buddy Remo. And we got this yesterday. He's 6 weeks old right now, and 8.5 pounds already. So he will be in my office with me pretty much all the time. I'm going to be taking primary responsibility and work on this new guy. So, yeah, he'll be in the background of the videos. I got a little pen to put him in. But here's a couple other photos we got. My buddy Cody's wife likes taking photos of them. So look how cute he is. I love those ears. I can't wait to get him. I love puppies. Who doesn't love puppies? If you don't love puppies, you're a monster. Can we just agree on that? But let's, enough of the puppy chat, as fun as it is. Great, YouTube chat is not letting me pop out the chat. Are you kidding me? Let me see if I can pop it out on my other account. Sign into chat, open in browser. It's just giving me an error. Wouldn't be a stream without some technical difficulties, but there we go. I think I'm good now. But yeah, the new guy will be darker colored than Clara. It's the same dad as Clara, but the mom is an all black shepherd. Her dad's name is Kaiser, and Clara's dad's name is Kaiser. Her mom is Bear. And then the new guy, Remo, his mom is named Luna, and Kaiser's a dad. So same dad as Clara, different mom, and the mom's all black, so he'll be a lot darker than Clara. So I'm very excited. I love dogs, and like having the shepherd's been great. Like they're so smart. I love having them. And she's honestly the best dog I've had. I've had dogs all my life growing up, and she's so well behaved and easy to train. So there will be a puppy on stream in a couple weeks, and he'll be like I said, he'll be basically attached to me for a long time because I'll be making sure to do all the work with him. Samantha did a ton of work with Clara, and Clara loves her. So hopefully if I do all the work with the new guy, he'll love me. But who knows? Maybe Samantha will end up with 2 dogs that love her the best. So anyways, let's see here. Dan Adams is watching right now in his little ice shanty, drinking beer and fishing. That sounds awesome. Dude, that sounds great. I haven't been ice fishing, but Samantha's brothers do, and I know it's a lot of fun. I feel like fishing in general is an excuse to drink beer. Am I wrong? Let's see here. Thanks for the reminder, Nemo. You gave me a reminder of the pre-flight checklist. I have yet to put it on my monitor, but that just saying that reminded me to put the giveaway open. And I have a button here now. So I just press the button and voila, there we go. It puts the giveaway information. So every month, for the foreseeable future, as long as we're financially able to, we will be giving away a printer every single month. And the only way you can enter in is during the streams. After the streams are over, we shut the form off. So you can enter once per stream. I do check, and I do have a thing that will check. If people entered multiple times, you will be disqualified. So please don't make more work for me. Only enter once per stream. And best of luck to everybody. So, but yeah, Randall B, you said you know a screen printing and embroidery business. If they can do hats, I feel like I would do like I kind of want to do a run of hats. Even if we have them sit, it's not like they get outdated. If I order like 100 of them and it takes us a year to sell through them, not a big deal. But yeah, shoot me an email, Randall, to streams@th3dstudio.com. I'll type that in the chat. This will be coming from my personal YouTube account because for some reason I can't reply. It won't let me pop the chat out. I don't know. Something's going on with YouTube. So let's get into the questions here. We had our tangent today. Our tangent was doggos. So the giveaway is for US and Canada, but if you have a friend, for this one anyways, we might change it. The printers we're giving away, I physically have here. Last month I physically had an Ender 2 or Ender 3 V2. This month I have a printer. I'm not saying what it is yet. I do have it. It's sitting behind me. But I want to keep a little mystery here. But these will be shipping from the US. In the future, maybe what we'll do is a drop ship. So we won't have the printer. And what I'll do is I'll just order it and ship it directly to somebody. But for this month and last month, it's US and Canada. But if you have somebody in US or Canada and you do win and you're outside of the US or Canada that we can send it to and they can get it to you, that's perfectly fine. Shipping printers outside of North America is kind of a pain in the ass with customs and all this other stuff. So, yeah. Just trying to keep it simple here. Not trying to create more work for me. It's not the TiVo. I would not do that to you guys. Aaron took the box of TiVo parts. So... let's see here. So Ken Cochran, I'm hoping I'm saying, or Corcoran, is asking a question. MKS SGNL V2 question. To use the easy out sensor with the TH3D DIY firmware, do I plug the sensor cable into the X plus N stop socket or someplace else? Yes, it will go into the X plus N stop. Now, the only thing with that is you should be using our adapter board to connect that. Let me pull it up. Or you're going to have to flip the two pins on the board. If you plug it directly, and it's going to cause a short because the signal and the voltage are reversed from the way we have our cables pinned. And if you have the standard filament sensor kit, it comes with an adapter board to do that, or you can just repin it. And I'll show you right here. So if we switch over here, so this is the one you'd want to have for SKR boards, Artillery TiVo Tornado. I should update this to specifically say also MKS, because this listing's been up before we started stopping the MKS ones. But this is the one you want. This is what we refer to as a standard one. So this little board here, in case people are wondering, and this little short cable. So this cable goes from one end, it doesn't matter which one you plug in, but one end goes from the board, your control board, to our easy out board here. So you connect this one end to your printer board, this other end to here, and then you plug the sensor into here, and this handles making sure that the pin out is correct. So this is actually flipping around connections. So you can do that, and it's just plug and play. And this comes in a full kit with all the stuff. And it even includes a piece of heat shrink here to go over this. So once you plug them in, you can slide that over, hit it with like a hairdryer or a heat gun, and then that'll lock everything in and make sure nothing shorts out. So this includes the full kit, which is the adapter board with the little jumper wire, the heat shrink, so everything you see here. So I should just update this. Let me do that. I'll do that while we're chatting here, because that does work with the MKS S-Gen L. It works with a lot of machines because the boards tend to use similar pinouts. So basically what we have with the Easy Out ecosystem is we have those adapter boards, and I have them designed in a way that depending on how we solder them and what connectors we put on them, we can have it repin things to make that one sensor work with everything instead of having to stock a million different sensor wires. We just stock that one PCB, and that PCB is configurable by us to connect to it. So I will put that in here. So let's do this right now. MKS S-Gen L V2. It'll work with the V1 as well. I'm using one with the V1 here. So connects to X plus and stop. I can't type. And it does use a low logic and Marlin. But if you're using our DIY firmware for it, it's pre-set up for you. You just plug it in. Just like I said, if you have the adapter board, use that. If you don't, you're going to have to remove the red and white wires, flip them, and then put them back into at one end. Don't do it on both ends, at one end. And that's because the pinout on the MKS boards is different from the pinout on our sensor. So I'm just going to update that real quick. S-Gen L. I mean, it'll work with the Gen L, the S-Gen L, the MKS Gen 1.4, that specific kit. So I will go ahead and just update that, and now the new listing is live, but we do use caching on our site, so it might take a sec. But yeah, it does work with the S-Gen L V1 and V2, and if you're using our V2 DIY firmware that we put out, yeah, you just plug it into the X plus stop. Just like I said, make sure if you don't have that adapter board that you change the wiring. So the adapter board just make everything simple. Instead of having to tell people to, push a pin out of the plug, it's just plug it all in, you're done. I think it's like $3 more to get the Easy Out sensor with the adapter PCB and the little extension cable. It doesn't cost much more. So, all right, let's see. Steve got his Easy Plugs today, 2 days early via USPS. That's amazing. I'm shocked. Maybe they're getting their shit together. But like I said, as far as I know, I'm still seeing random delays with USPS. If I had to estimate, I'd say it's less than 2% of the orders. And it feels like the delays are getting less, so maybe they're getting their shit together. I'm not sure. Claire will gain a lot of weight if we have a thing. That's funny. She'll get fat from all the treats. I don't think she'd mind. Someone says Lumia stream. Check that out for the cube. I will go. Oh, cool. Perfect integration between your devices and RGB lights. Okay, that's a good. I just need a starting point. I can figure stuff out. Let's see here. Egbert says he's got a Sidewinder X1. What are your thoughts on Klipper? How hard is it to set up, and is it reversible? Yes, it's reversible. It is pretty hard to set up, in my opinion. I shouldn't say it's hard. It's just time consuming. You have to read a lot of their documentation. I personally don't like Klipper. I think the way to go is just with a 32-bit board. Klipper originally started out as a way to try to alleviate a bottleneck for the 8-bit processors. And what you did was you would flash a lightweight firmware on your 8-bit board, connect it over USB to a Raspberry Pi, and then you have the Raspberry Pi do all the heavy lifting and processing, so to speak. But with the 32-bit boards, it's kind of less relevant. But I know they do have it working on some 32-bit boards, but I'll be honest, it's not a firmware I am well versed in. I played with it over a year ago, and I know they've made a lot of progress, and it was just very clunky at that point, and it didn't even have support for ABL probes. So no BL touch support, no easy ABL support. So that was kind of the deal breaker for me. And then 32-bit boards came around, and we have tons of horsepower at our disposal now. With these 32-bit boards. So, but I mean, if you got time and you're willing to read through the documentation, go ahead and give it a shot. Worst case scenario, you just flash back to Marlin on there and you're done. So another thing is, I don't know what screens they support. I know they support the 12864 LCD screen, like the larger ones. But if you're using like a Sidewinder X1 with our conversion kit, that comes with what's called a mini panel type display. You should see, if you are using our kit with that, you should see if that's actually supported. I don't know if they support the stock touchscreen on that model, because the X1 comes with a MKS type touchscreen, and I don't know if is supported on there. But yeah, it's not a firmware I felt was worth my time, so I haven't looked back into it. I'm pretty much all in on Marlin. I got a couple Duet machines. If you guys have been following the channel, they work, but there's a huge learning curve with the Duet stuff. Same thing with the Klipper. So I guess I'm set in my ways. Nemo was asking about what's my opinion on Arc Welder for your G-code. I haven't used it. I like the idea. I know Top at Waffle. He's my brother. His name's Doug. He's usually in the streams. He would be the one to ping. And I know, Nemo, you're in our Discord server. So I'm sure if you ping Doug, and he's been pretty busy, but he has been using it. I do know that Scott said that 2.0.7.2 Marlin, which is the latest release from Marlin right now, and what our Unified 2 is built on, he said that there are bugs with ARC support in there. So just be aware of that. Once that's patched and there's a new Marlin release that's officially out, we will be updating our code as fast as reasonably possible. We still do qualify firmware on actual machines here. So meaning if we have, let's say Marlin releases a new release, I'll pull down the release, I'll integrate the updates into our firmware on our testing branch, and then I will go ahead and flash it and run it on machines here for a couple weeks just to make sure everything works correctly, because there have been updates rolled out to Marlin that have broken things before. So to avoid that, we have control over our code, meaning we make that choice to move to the next version of Marlin, and we try to test everything as best as we can by using it on actual machines, running prints on those machines, and making sure everything is behaving correctly. So that's why our version will lag behind a little bit of the Marlin one, is because we do want to make sure that's fully tested to make sure we're not introducing new problems by going to the newer version of the code. So as far as I know, the only outstanding bugs with Marlin 207.2 in relation to our firmware is the Ender 3 V2, because of how the LCD is handled on that. If you do a move command from the LCD, sometimes it can make the extruder back out filament, like it'll retract. That's just something that happens with it. You can get around that by controlling it with your by using like a G-code sender, so plugging it into a USB, hooking up to Octoprint or to your computer. It doesn't have that issue if you're telling it to do moves from a USB, because the issue is actually on how the LCD code is implemented. It has a bug where it just starts backing the filament out. And then obviously, like Scott said, there's support issues in Marlin 2072. So as far as I know, those are the only two outstanding issues with 2072. And then once those are patched, they will get integrated in once we test to make sure no other things get broken. So let's see. John got his plugs in. He just in time to go to work. I know what I'll be doing later tonight. Awesome. Let's see. John says his birthday's at the end of the month. We love puppy. We got to buy a house first. Priorities. Yeah, get the house and then the dog. When we had a condo, we couldn't have a dog. It was sad. I missed having a dog. Dogs are the best. Look at her. Look at that good girl. Oh, I need to go this way. Look at that good dog. Yeah, she heard good girl, and she's like, that's me. That's me, guys. What is my project goal with the Ender 6 display? I've seen bits and pieces and items, but I missed the overall objective. The overall objective is to get rid of the touchscreen. They're very limited. I don't know why Creality keeps using them. I wish they would switch over to something that they release sources for. And one of the other things is having a pass-through for the USB. So this is, I got to reprint this. I made one other revision, but this is a housing that we will be selling with to go along with the LCD that will allow you to pass through a USB cable here to the board so you can actually print over USB. This will be the version 1. I originally want to have like a panel mount type USB connector, but it's been very hard to source those. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to over-engineer it on the first version. Maybe we could always release a second one later on. But just having a simple pass-through here where you can pass your USB cable through here and have it plugged into the board is more than good enough for me. And then we have a cutout here for the SD socket. So this will allow you to put the standard Creality LCD into here. This will bolt into the stock location. You'll still have access to the SD slot. You'll have a pass-through for the USB and then be able to flash our firmware on there. So you'll be able to run an easy ABL on there. You'll be able to change different settings on the board that you can't do with the stock touchscreen. So that's where we're at. Like I said, I just want to, this is good enough for me to use for testing purposes. This does fit. I've already done test fitments with it. I just have some other modifications I want to make just to make it look fancier. But yeah, we've done the same thing with the CR10S Pro, the CRX, the Ender 5 Plus, the Sidewinder X1. The problem with the touchscreens are they look nice, but the problem is you're kind of limited on, not kind of, you are limited on what you can do. You can't baby step. Sending these the offset, if it even supports it, is kind of a pain in the ass. And then eventually what I want to do is once I figure out a SD extension, we'll be able to get the Easy Board too into the Ender 6. But what I need to do is source an SD extension that can mount in the stock slot location here that you can then put into the Easy Board so you can still flash your firmware and stuff or use the SD slot. Because right now, the SD slot that comes on the Ender 6 is an extension that plugs into the board. That board doesn't actually have an SD slot on it. It's got a header. So that's the second phase. But the first phase will be really good and give a lot more functionality because then, like I said, you'll have a pass-through port here where you can slide your USB cable out. So plug it into the board, run it up, out, and then you can have it coming out of here. And then the regular LCD. So the physical parts are done. I just need to get this on the printer and start plugging away at the firmware. And I don't think they've released the source code yet. So hopefully I'm able to kind of, stumble my way through it and figure out where all their pin definitions are. Or maybe I'll get lucky and it's the same pinout as one of the 422 or 427 boards. But I will be starting work on that next week now that I have this to mount the LCD display too. So let's see here. Where's the next one? Okay, the project goal with the Ender 6. Okay, Antics. Is it just me that has problems with Cura Slicer? Trying out newest Prusa Slicer with the Ender 5 Pro preset, and I'm getting more accurate dimensions than XYZ Cube. Cura always comes out smaller. That's interesting. I mean, here's the thing. All the slicers generate different tool paths. I'm not a fan of Cura's tool paths. I have messed around a little bit with Idea Maker and Prusa Slicer, and if I had to pick one, I'm definitely leaning more towards switching over from, because I use Simplify 3D still. I will just put this disclaimer out. I think their software is good. It may not be the bleeding edge, but at the end of the day, it gives me prints that work. But the problem is, I don't like the company. Their support was terrible. It took them 2 weeks to resolve an issue that was on their end that prevented us from using software we paid for, and I'm not okay with that. you know, I don't really care that it doesn't have the latest, like, you know, all new bells and whistles. Like the open source stuff gets developed at a lot faster rate as Simplify 3D. What I'm concerned about is being able to hit slice and my print works. But Idea Maker is looking very promising. But the thing is, like, all these slicers do different tool paths and they have their own algorithms. So it is possible that you could be getting different dimensions. It also could be possible that your flow rates are different on your slicer profile. So maybe the default profile on Kira or whatever your profile is, if you've customized it, has a flow rate set lower than the Prusa slicer flow rate. Because if you change the flow rate up or down, if you raise it up, your part can come out bigger. If you raise it down, your part can come out smaller because it's extruding more or less filament. Oh no, we can't be yawning. Hopefully that will help. But now I'm empty. So yeah, I would check your flow rate settings, see what they're set to. If they're the same, then it could just come down to how they're both generating their tool paths. So, oh, there we go. It jumped. Hang on. Where are we going here? Mills, nitpick question on the shop page. It has pictures for almost all the printers, but it doesn't have one for Wanhao and ANET. Why? Because those are just general categories. I do want to add on more machine-specific ones, and then that requires us to also comb through our library of parts to then add those to the parts. Those categories have been there for a while. But I do want to add ones on for other printer models. So, but I did spend about 6 or 7 hours revising our shop layouts. I hope you guys are able to find stuff easier. We have seen an uptick in orders, and people ordering things. So I know, and that's excluding, what's the word I'm looking for? The restock of the easy boards and the restock of the easy plugs. Also, if you guys are waiting on stuff, not flex plates though, those are still on their way, but we did just get a large shipment in. I got about 10 boxes that came in yesterday that the inventory team's going through right now. Like it's a lot of different odds and ends and parts. So if there's any like kind of parts you're looking for, they're probably going to get restocked no later than tomorrow. They're going through and doing counts and quality checks right now. So, yeah. But yeah, that's why they just have a logo, because it's just an overall page for those. But I do want to break those out into different printers. So, but if you guys ever have questions about compatibility, like will this work with my machine, you can either send us a message by going to contact us at the top of our website if you're already on the site. You can also click the little help button in the lower left-hand corner. If it's during business hours, that is live chat, so you can actually chat with somebody live. If it's after hours, it'll give you the option to create a ticket. So I'd rather have you guys ask us a question to make sure stuff works before you order. So if there's any doubt or any question, go ahead and ask our team. That's what they're there for. We know our stuff here, and we want to make sure you get the right parts for your printer. So let's see here. Mac CJ is asking, do I know any boards are going to be based on the ESP32 as a printer processor so I could have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built in, also Ethernet? I'm not aware. I don't see why it wouldn't be possible to use an ESP32. I think Marlin supports, those as like a generic build. You would have to define your pins. I could be wrong though. I think that might be a thing. I just did a quick Google search here. I don't know why though. I feel like it'd be way more work versus just buying. There's so many good boards out there, and there's so many cheap boards. Like I said, I've been talking about the MKS stuff. If you guys are looking for a cheap board, MKS. The only thing is too, if you think about it, and this is how, this is my opinion. I don't like running web interfaces on the same processor that I'm running my printer control on, because I don't want to have those all stacked onto one processor. It could cause hiccups with the prints and stuff. I prefer to have, like, even on my Duet that I put in my CR10, I have an Octoprint setup connected to that. And the only time I hit the actual IP web interface of that Duet board is if I need to make a configuration change to it. Otherwise, I'm using it just how I do, which is USB from the Pi to the Duet board itself. So, yeah. Because what you end up getting is, it's like, oh, this is nice, I got a web interface, but if you guys have ever used Octoprint, you know how limited these other interfaces are, because Octoprint is very powerful. You get plugin support, you've got, webcam support, and all this other stuff, and it's standardized, and you can use it on any machine. again, that's just my opinion, but yeah. So, let's see here. You guys are pretty quiet today. Let's see. Are you looking, Jeremy Stones, are you looking for a USB A or B port? I was looking for a panel mount connector, probably about foot and a half long. And I was just going to do a micro USB on this side if we did a panel mount, and then get a cable, because here's the thing, if you're using the stock board, it's a micro USB. If we did get the easy board working in there, that would be a mini USB. So I'd basically need a panel mount with a micro USB on it and then a micro to mini in case somebody did put like an easy board or something else in there. But it was taking me too long. I was like, you know what, there's no reason we can't just do this. It'll achieve the same goal, which is getting access to the USB port without having to open the bottom of the printer. So you're going to be going into it anyways to hook the LCD. You're going to be going into it anyways to hook this LCD up. So passing a USB cable through from the bottom and then out is not a big deal. So let's see here. Where are we at? Here we go. What's going on with the easy board? I'm assuming you mean Pro. He's saying 2. The Pro. The Pro is going to be the dual extrusion one. I can't show it yet, but I do have the prototype on my desk and we are working on it. So I'm trying not to rush things. I don't like doing that. So I'd rather just, because here's the thing, if we rush something out and it's like 90% working, it's going to do more reputational damage to the company and the board reputation than if I just delay it. And some people are just, like, oh, when's it going to be released, versus sending something out that isn't 100% done, and then it just ruins the reputation of the product and our company. So, Matt is asking, do you have any advice / pointers for scoring and resizing PEI sheets? So when I put a sheet on my, let's say I got a sheet that's bigger than my printer bed, or even a magnetic sheet, I'll usually line up the 2 corners so it hangs off only on, let's say, I don't have a sheet handy, but let's say this is the sheet, and this is my bed. Okay. So I would put it into the corner here and then trim it on the other side. So line it up on, the left and bottom, or, the right and bottom, and then trim off the other sides, and just use a very sharp knife and then drag it and use the bed as a guide to cut it. One other thing we have done, if you guys have them, is, those big paper cutters, you put them in there, it's like a guillotine almost. Those can usually cut through bed sheets, no problem. We have one, I think it's, it's a very common name. They make cutting stuff. It's not Fiskars. X-Acto. Duh. I have one from X-Acto that we can literally put it in there and just shoop, and it cuts it. So you can do that as well too. But if you want to keep it simple, you could always just take a ruler, mark it out, and then cut it with scissors. PEI, the polycarbonate sheets, magnets, you can cut them all with standard scissors too. Just go slow. But my preferred method is throw it on the bed, get it lined up on 2 of the edges, the bottom and the right, and then just take a razor blade and drag it along the side. Use the bed as a template almost. Dominic, it looks like Klipper allows crazy fast print speed. Does the EasyBoard work with it? We do not officially support Klipper. I'm not saying it can't be used with it. I know they have LPC. I know they have it running on the LPC chips, but that's not something we will be putting out support, because it's way more complicated than Marlin. And it also requires you to have a Raspberry Pi. The thing with Klipper is you get a lot of these guys that they're like, I'm printing at 500 millimeters a second, but they don't usually show you what the print actually looks like. And you can also only melt plastic so fast. You can't defy physics just because you're running a different firmware. You can print very fast with Marlin too. And the EasyBoard will process very fast print moves. The problem you get into is when you can't melt the plastic physically fast enough, or you have an extruder that just can't keep up. Marlin is perfectly capable of doing very high print speeds. One of the things the things you want to do to uncap your print speeds so you can actually achieve faster print speeds is, one, print bigger items. If you're printing a smaller item, you can only speed up and slow down over so much distance. So if you're printing a smaller item, it's got to have a ramp up and a ramp down time. That's what acceleration and jerk is. Now, if you raise your acceleration and jerk values, that's telling the firmware that, hey, we can go faster in terms of speeding up and slowing down. But if you do push it too hard, you can end up with step loss, which is then going to screw up your print. So you can absolutely uncap Marlin, raise your jerk values, raise your acceleration values, your max and your defaults, and then you can get a lot more headroom. But you're also going to have poorer print quality because the printer is a physical thing, and the faster you ramp up and slow down, the more like resonance, I think that's the correct term, but basically it translates to ringing. You know, the physical thing can only stop so fast. You can tell the motor to stop instantly. That doesn't mean the physical printer is going to stop instantly. What'll happen is it'll stop, but it's going to go like this and then kind of go back until it just settles out. But yeah, if you want to get into an online e-peen contest with how fast you can print, go right ahead. But yeah, I don't plan on, we could probably get Klipper working on it. I don't want to deal with supporting it. So we're just not. Let's see here. Shadonka said, I'm using the TH3 firmware to my Soval SVL1s. One has BL touch, the other has no ABL. The one with no ABL, there's no way to save the Z offset. How do I set the Z offset? You level your bed. There's no way to set a Z offset if you don't have a probe in Marlin. Yeah, just simple as that. If you're always having to baby step a certain amount, you're gonna have to physically adjust your bed that certain amount, or throw an easy ABL on there and stop leveling your bed. It is 2021. But in all seriousness, you're just gonna have to physically adjust your bed for that difference, since you don't have a probe. You can't like store your offset because there is no probe. Let's see here. How fast did I have the Ender 6 going? How loud was it? Well, the noise level was good on it. It does seem to have Trinamics in it. I don't know exactly how fast it was sliced for, but now that I have this done, next week, that's going to be my project printer to start getting things going on that. And hopefully it's not going to be too much work. If not, I'm going to pester the shit out of Creality to provide the source code so I can see exactly what their pinouts are. That's the main thing with source codes is I don't really care about their firmware itself. When you're trying to develop and get a printer supported in Marlin, the main thing you need is what's called the pins file. And that pins file tells it where everything is talking on, like what pin your thermistor is where your thermistor input is on, what pin your stepper direction for X is on, or Y, or Z, or E. Without that pins file and without a schematic, I can derive a pins file from a schematic, but I can't derive a pins file from firmware that's in a compiled format, so like a binary file or a hex file. You need the source code to do that. So if I don't have a schematic and I don't have a pins file, then it comes down to literally taking a multimeter with a fine point and tracing out where everything physically goes on the board, which is a huge pain in the ass. But since they are running Marlin on it, they legally have to comply with that. Otherwise, they're going to have a problem. Because that's how the GPL license goes, is you distributed that firmware to me. I bought the printer. It came with the firmware that's distributed it to me. So I am entitled to the source code if I request it. So make sure you guys know your rights on the GPL. So, but yeah, we'll see. I doubt they will, I doubt they will give me much headache with getting the source code if I request it. It could be on the site. I haven't checked since I did the printer review. Let's see. Ender 6 source code. Oh, there's a, hang on. There's a post from 20 days ago asking for it. Oh, there's other people asking for it. There is a configuration in the examples on Marlin. So that's good. So it looks like somebody figured it out. Marlin configurations, examples, Creality. So it looks like it might actually be in there already. So that's good. That will save me a lot of time. Okay. Well, that's good. Install a USB cable. Yeah. So there we go. That's good to know. I'm glad I Googled that. So they haven't posted it, but it looks like there's a config in Marlin. Like it's actually posted by Mr. Thinkyhead himself. So that's good. But anyways, and then I'm going to have Aaron design a amount for it to put it the easy ABL in the hot end. I do want to say someone left a comment on the Ender 6 video saying that him and one of the resellers over in Europe that sells the Ender 6s are seeing the motor shaft snapping off. Remember that motor shaft that I said? I looked at that. I got out of the box. I was like, that's not good, because they literally have a shaft that's like, I shit you not, this long sticking up out of the motor, and then the gear is press fit on the top. So I am planning on trying to figure out something to carry in the shop to replace that. My idea was to get that same motor, but then design something to, because it's a press fit pulley, so you're not going to be able to really pull it off. They're very hard. You can get them off with heat, but a new motor with a bearing block retainer on the top that comes up to right under where the pulley is, so that way it takes the load off of that. So it's something that we're going to be designing, but I do want to just let you guys know that I have seen reports of those shafts on the motor snapping, which is what my concern was originally on that machine. It's really sad, because it's such a, they could have done it in a different way, or just put a bracket on there that has a bearing to take the load off of the shaft so it's not pulling on it. But they didn't. And my other concern is the CR30 is set up the same exact way with that long shaft, because the CR30 is actually a Core XY structure on the angle, and it's got that same thing where they're using a very long shaft motor with a pulley on the top. So I would expect that we're going to see the same kind of failures with the CR30. And Aaron's been using the CR30 out in our shop. We're not using it for any production purposes, but he is running prints on it, and it's been printing really well. I'll be completely honest. It's been printing really great. It's done a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So, but you guys do need to ask more questions. It's the first stream in a while where I'm actually catching up to things. Let's see here. So Scott is asking question about using a glass bead thermistor and one that needs a slide-in brass tube style. Are there brass tubes available to allow me to adapt so I don't have to replace the thermistor? I'm not aware of any, but what I've done in the past is I'll slide the thermistor into that and just make sure it's not going to come out, like secure the wires to like the heater cables. The only problem with that is that it technically could get into a point where it's not making good contact with the block. So what I also did then to make sure it stayed in there is I'll put a little bead of high temp silicone in there just to make sure that it's in there and let it cure, like the red RTV stuff. But I mean, you could also try to source a sleeve of that size. I don't know where you would get it from. I feel like maybe something at the hardware store you might be able to find. I don't know if they have something that's small though. But basically those ones that come in the sleeves, they're the same thermistor. They're just in that sleeve, and they put silicone in there, and then shove the thermistor in there and let it cure. And then it's just in that package. So you can kind of do the same thing. If you're in a pinch and you can't get a cartridge type thermistor, put a little bead of the RTV, like the red RTV stuff. You can get it from like AutoZone and stuff. It's really high temp rated, so it'll hold up to the temps in the block. And that's a good workaround too. I don't see any issue with doing that. So, but I've done it before in a pinch. I have a couple machines here that use those, and we only carry the glass ones. I'm like, well, boop, silicone, push it in, and they've been running fine. So no issues there. But ideally the thing would be to get it with a brass, like the cartridge type thermistor. That's usually what they're referred to as. Brennan Weir, I have a CR10 Mini. I have a glass bender Easy ABL. It's running so much better since I added the Easy ABL. Everything else is standard. What else should I upgrade for the best bang for my buck? Well, my question to ask you would be, what problem are you trying to solve? Don't just aimlessly upgrade your printer. As much as I'd like to tell you, go buy everything in our store. It's amazing. While our stuff is good, I'm not going to sell you shit you don't need. That's not how I do business here. My question would be, what are you trying to solve? What are you trying to make easier? Like, are you tired of dealing with the glass bed? In that case, if that's the case, then go with our EasyFlex system. We should still have the CR10 mini size. I believe we do carry those. Those are not a very popular printer, but I'm pretty sure we still have those. Those would be the 235 by 310. Let me double check that. I can never remember that printer's size. Yeah, that's a 235 by 310, and we have both those sizes in stock in the smooth and textured. But yeah, what are you trying to accomplish? Like, what problem are you trying to solve? What are you trying to do that you can't do right now with the printer? Because the CR10 Mini is a decent machine. We have one here, and it's in our print farm. It's actually one of the older machines I have, and we've rebuilt it a couple times, and it's been running great. So, but I mean, like what we have, my preferred loadout for a printer is I put our tough extruder on it, I put our tough tube on it, I change the fans out from the stock ones to our fans because I don't want to be dealing with fans going out in a couple months, because that's been my experience with the Creality fans. So I do extruder, fans, tubing, easy ABL. I solid mount the bed with our solid mounts, and then I put the Easy Flex on it. It's kind of my standard loadout. Oh, and a filament sensor if it doesn't have one already. But that's like my standard loadout on machines when we build them out here, especially for the print farm. So the tough extruder allows us to more reliably feed the filament. It's got more torque. It's easier to load. The tubing removes the slop in the tubing and also allows us to do higher temps without having to worry about the stock tubing. Easy ABL, self-explanatory. Don't have to level the bed. And then solid mounts, we get rid of the spring. So it's all about removing variables from the machine to make them more reliable, so there's less stuff to screw with. You know, but like I said, what are you trying to, what problem are you trying to fix? What are you trying to do that you can't do already? Let me see if you're still in the chat. I don't think he's in the chat. He asked the question and then dipped. Let's see here. Sean Phelps, just asked your sales guy earlier today, but do we have plans for upgrades with 2-tree Sapphire Core XY machines? No, because that would require me to buy them, and I refuse to give that company money. They're a terrible company. Even you say here, the mechanicals machine are a fantastic value. I will agree with that. But the hot-end electronics in general are a total dumpster fire. That's accurate. But the thing is, we carry a lot of parts that will work on any machine. You know, like we carry hot-ends, we carry extruders. We will be carrying universal control boards. I do have an order in for the MKS S Gen L V2s because I'm finally comfortable enough with them. I've spent enough time with them, and I'm confident in them that they're a decent budget board. So we will be carrying those in the future. We also put out firmware that's easy to use for that as well. You know, but in terms of carrying stuff that's specifically listed for the 2-tree stuff, I don't plan on doing anything for 2-trees, because the problem is if we start carrying stuff for 2-tree stuff, people kind of take that as an endorsement of like, this is a decent machine. I feel like we've had a lot of people like, oh, I'm waiting to see what TH3D says about it and what they do with it before I buy the printer. And I don't want to like kind of have any sort of like, yeah, this is an okay machine to buy and, you know, make money off of it. But there's we carry a lot of parts. You know, if you guys have a machine and we don't carry, you know, don't have a section for it, you know, let's say you're looking to replace fans. Well, figure out what voltage your printer runs on. The easiest way is look at the existing fan, see, and then see if we have a size fan that's the same size. You know, like we carry universal parts like the tough extruder and our tough hot end. As long as you have a mount to put like those parts onto your printer, then they'll work with it. You know, like the tough hot end is compatible with all the E3D V6 style mounts. So if there's a V6 style mount for the 2-tree Sapphire Core XY, then our tough hot end will fit in there. If there's a mount for the E3D Titan that's compatible with the 2-tree Sapphire Core XY, then our tough extruder will work with it. So there's kind of cross-referencing on there. But I don't like putting an actual category up unless I've actually spent time and sat down with the machine and I can personally verify that these parts will work with it. You know, and I don't want to give 2-trees any money. I just can't bring myself to do it. Dan Adams said he posted a picture about uses for old spools. I have 2 30-gallon trash bags full of old spools because Aaron was collecting them for some reason. He breaks them in half and uses them for ice hole covers. That's funny. That's kind of funny. I like that. I appreciate that link, Jeremy, for the panel mount. I did see those on eBay for the panel mount extensions. I was trying to find stuff through our suppliers because I don't know. The problem is, like, if I buy some random extension off eBay and then I can't get them anymore, or we get them through like our supplier and they're different, now I have to modify the design again. You you know, when I get parts in, I try to go through our suppliers just so I can get consistency, versus just like random wherever we can get type of stuff. So let's see here. I pressed the giveaway button. Did it go? Oh, damn it. It's going to post. There it goes. It double posted. Is it worth putting a Creality touchscreen on an Ender 3 Pro? Absolutely not. Do you want to lose most of the features that you have with your current touchscreen? Usually we go the other way. We take the touchscreens off and we put the 128/64s on, because you can actually get more features. Not actually, you do get more features with the standard screens than you do with the touchscreens. The touchscreens look pretty and that's it. They don't provide you any more functionality. They provide you less functionality than the 128/64s. So, Armil's, 3D Loon off, or sorry, I'm going back up. I'm kind of losing my position here. There we go. Mamadou Ba says, Mamadou Ba, that's funny. Would you recommend adding a direct drive to Ender 3 V2 or Ender 3 Pro? It's up to you. I run most of our machines in Bowden, but some people that like do flexible filaments, it's very popular to go direct drive because direct drive is way easier to do. Way easier to do flex filaments with. But I also run flexible on Bowden systems. My little Wayno i3 Mini, that's running a Bowden, and I have no issues running flex on there. But it really depends. If you have a material that you're going to be printing regularly, that you want to print at a faster speed, like one thing direct drive is better at doing than Bowden is faster print speeds with flexibles, because it's less distance from the feed gear to where it's actually getting melted. And that's usually what screws you up. What I do if I'm printing flex on Bowden is I'll put our tough extruder on, I'll put our tough tube on because it's tighter diameter tubing. So there's less slop and less chance for that filament to start bunching up on itself. And that usually works perfectly fine. That's the setup I have on our i3 Mini, and I use that printer pretty much just to print TPU parts for my drones. It's not seen any action in a couple months because there's like a foot of snow outside. But when it's not winter here, that's what I use it for. Our mills are off topic. Oh no, here we go. There's the yawn. I forgot to fill this up. I had like this much left from yesterday, and I finished that off, and I did not mix myself up more energy drink mix. I'm dying here, man. Off topic, 3D Loon. What DuPont/JSE crimpers do I use? Hang on, I gotta look them up. It's a Japanese brand. I've tried the cheaper Chinese ones, and they just didn't crimp as well. And then I dropped like $50 on them, and we have them in the shop, and they're actually pretty damn good. I'm trying to find what they were. I think they're the PA. Is this it? The PA20s is a part number. I don't know if these were them. Yeah, these were them because they're like $50. Trying to find here. Yeah. These are the ones I use. These right here. The PA20s. They just work well. There's cheaper ones out there, but I've had no issues with these. I apologize for the yawning. But yeah, you can find them for pretty cheap. But yeah, the Engineering PA20s. They've served me well. We have them. They work when I need to use them. I can't really complain. Armil's asking, what are some good sensors used for my automated stuff? I want to make sensors for my hallway lights at home. Motion sensors. So there's two different types of sensors you can do to detect motion. There's like the ultrasonic ones. They look kind of like two little eyeballs, and one sends out a signal and the other one picks it up, and then when something interrupts that, it triggers it. I prefer what are called PIR sensors, which I believe is called passive infrared. You can get those types of boards on little development kits. You can also get just alarm system sensors, PIR sensors. And usually how they work is they have two output pins and they have a power input. It's usually 12 volts input. And then on the 2 output pins, when it detects motion, it closes those contacts. You can run that to an I/O pin on like an ESP board and just use that. Then you get a nice pre-packaged system. I have, like in my office here, I actually have a Z-Wave PIR sensor, and I've been very happy with those. I've got 3 of them in the garage because like my lights are segmented into like the garage bays, so I have one for each bay. But I also have one in the hallway too, and we have 3 of them out in the shop, and they've been working really great. So if you're doing battery powered, I do recommend going with like Z-Wave or Zigbee stuff for battery powered devices, just because they're very good on battery life. The ones I have here, I think BE Sense is the brand of them. And on 2 AA's, I get over a year of battery life on them. So I can't complain. They take standard batteries and I get a year out of them. I can't really complain. Kyle Fegley says, do you sell spring plates without PEI pre-installed? I'm sorry. I should have resisted the first one because now they're just coming. Do we sell them without the PEI pre-installed? Unfortunately, we do not. We switched over to doing everything pre-installed because we had too many people getting them, installing the PEI sheets, and then yelling at us because they didn't take their time applying the PEI. So now we only sell stuff with PEI pre-applied. Now our plates do not have anything installed on the rear, so you could put a different surface on the rear of the plate if you wanted to. Do just know that you will feel a weaker magnetic strength because you're now putting something between the plate. But in our experience, in our testing, you can put a standard sheet on the back, and it's still, wow, it's snowing a lot. Sorry. And it'll still hold it down. It'll just feel weaker, but it's still strong enough to hold it down for prints. So let's see here. Why am I yawning? Oh, Brandon Weir is here with the CR10 Mini. I upgraded tube on it, so extrude and filament sensor maybe. I definitely would recommend a filament sensor. If you don't have a filament sensor, those are clutch. I can't tell you, like, just the peace of mind of being on, I think this filament's going to last, but if it doesn't, it's going to trigger it. And then it waits for you to put more filament in, and you can resume the print. I like that. So Matt is asking, this will be, I'll double check the questions because it is 3 o'clock. We run these for an hour. So I'm going to just put a little marker here, and I'll try to answer the rest of the questions if there are any. But we are going to wrap this up in a sec here. But he's asking a question about V-slot rollers for linear rails. In my experience, in my opinion, I don't see a huge difference. Unless the machine was originally designed for use with linear rails, the amount of money you spend versus the quality you get on return from that is minimal. Even Teaching Tech did a video for that where there wasn't a huge result. And I wouldn't expect there to be, because if you have all your V-slot wheels properly adjusted, there's no reason it should be a night and day difference between linear rails versus V-slot rollers. I'm a big fan of V-slot rollers. They're simple, they're cost effective, and as long as they're adjusted right, they work. So let's see here. I'm just trying to say, I think we might be good here. Giveaway link, we posted that. Chris and I is asking, I just ordered the Vision Miner Nano Polymer. How often should I reapply for PLA and PETG on EasyFlex plate? I get anywhere from 10 to 15 prints on one application. So basically the answer is if stuff starts coming loose, we'll clean the plate off with like IPA and then reapply it. It really varies. It depends on how big your print is. And, you know, if you're printing a bunch of small stuff and then you print something big, the big stuff's going to use up more of that surface versus the small stuff. But in my experience, I can get 10, 15 prints and it's fine. So basically, if you start getting prints lifting, it's been a while since you reapplied it, then it's time to reapply. There's no real way to be like, oh yeah, it's 10 prints and then you should reapply. I mean, you could set your own policy for yourself. Be like, okay, I know I've ran 10 prints. I'm going to clean it off and reapply it. I just do it. I just do it when I start seeing adhesion becoming poor. I basically use it. I didn't used to use it on PLA machines, but when I'd start doing prints where I have smaller parts, just because they have smaller surface area, they would come loose from the bed, whereas larger parts would be fine. So I think of it as like an insurance policy on my prints. I just put it down, and it's not going to hurt to have it there and not need it versus not having it and needing it. So, but I'm still on this bottom. Like one of the guys said, once I think it was the Lightspeed, he told me that what he does is once this gets halfway down, he'll top it back off with 99% isopropyl alcohol, and that's what I did. And I don't see any difference with the adhesion. So you can refill it and kind of stretch it out a little bit. It's not officially recommended by them, but I have tested it and I haven't had any adverse effects. So just wanted to throw that out there. So anyways, I'm just going to see if there's any, see if there's any quick stuff here, but we are at the cutoff here. It's 3:05. We try to keep these to an hour. So anyways, yeah, let's see. And that's kind of what I heard from people. Okay. Yeah. Basically, like I said, linear rails, you can do them if you want to mod your printer, but don't expect to see a huge result. You're probably not going to see much print quality difference. You know, there's been a printer that's designed to use linear rails, like, you know, this Daedalus here I have, that's designed to use linear rails, versus a printer that was designed to do V-slot. The return on your amount of cost versus print quality, in my opinion, I don't think it's worth it. So, but if you're a person that likes to tinker with your printer and the printer itself is a hobby, go for it. If you got the money, go for it. But just set your expectations low because you're probably not going to see a huge difference. So, anyways, I appreciate everybody stopping by. I hope you guys learned something, and I will catch you guys on the next stream. I don't have any streams officially scheduled for the rest of the week. That doesn't mean there might not be any, so just keep an eye out. We post out when we do streams. Hope you guys got a chance to enter the giveaway, and we'll be pulling the winner like we did the last one at the very last stream of the month. So I will see you guys all in the next one. And as always, happy printing.